She said she was going to a yoga retreat. I sent her a care package. The resort called me back and said, "There's no one here under that name." I said, "There won't be at my place either. I'm a 45-year-old mechanic from Columbus, Ohio. I've been married to my wife, Sarah, for 20 years. We met in high school, fell in love, and built a life together. We have 2 kids, a mortgage, and a dog named Max. Life was simple, predictable, and I thought, happy. Sarah was always into wellness. Yoga, meditation, clean eating, you name it. She'd been talking about attending a week-long yoga retreat in Sedona, Arizona for months. I encouraged her to go. She deserved a break, and I figured some time apart might rekindle the spark in our marriage. She left on a Sunday morning, suitcase in hand, excitement in her eyes. I kissed her goodbye, told her to enjoy herself, and watched as she drove off. That was the last time I saw the woman I thought I knew. I called Sarah's cell, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted her, asking if everything was okay. No response. I waited a few hours, tried again. Still nothing. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I decided to do some digging. I checked our bank account and saw a charge from a hotel in Chicago. That was odd. She was supposed to be in Arizona. I looked up the hotel. It was a luxury spot in downtown Chicago. A few days into her trip, I decided to surprise her with a care package. I filled it with her favorite snacks, a new yoga mat, a handwritten note, and a small photo album of our family. I wanted her to feel loved, to know we were thinking of her. I called the resort to confirm the address and ensure she'd receive it. That's when things took a turn. "Hi, this is Mike. My wife, Sarah, is staying at your resort this week. I'd like to send her a package and want to make sure it gets to her." There was a pause on the other end. "I'm sorry, sir. We don't have anyone by that name registered here." I felt a chill run down my spine. "Are you sure?" She said she was attending a yoga retreat at your resort. "I'm positive, sir. We have no record of a Sarah." I thanked her and hung up, my mind racing. Maybe she used a different name? Maybe there was a mix-up. I tried to rationalize it, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. I called Sarah's cell, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted her, asking if everything was okay. No response. I waited a few hours, tried again. Still nothing. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I decided to do some digging. I checked our bank account and saw a charge from a hotel in Chicago. That was odd. She was supposed to be in Arizona. I looked up the hotel. It was a luxury spot in downtown Chicago. I called the hotel, pretending to be her assistant. "Hi, I'm calling to confirm a reservation for Sarah." Yes, she checked in on Sunday and is scheduled to check out this Saturday. I thanked them and hung up, my heart pounding. Why would she lie about going to a yoga retreat? Who was she with? I needed answers. I waited until she returned home. She walked in, all smiles, acting like everything was normal. "How was the retreat?" I asked. "It was amazing. So relaxing. I feel rejuvenated." I stared at her, trying to keep my emotions in check. "Did you meet anyone interesting?" "Just some fellow yogis. Everyone was so kind." I nodded, pretending to believe her. I didn't confront her then. I needed more evidence. I hired a private investigator. It wasn't cheap, but I needed the truth. A week later, he handed me a folder filled with photos and documents. Sarah had been in Chicago, staying at the hotel with a man named David. They were seen dining together, walking hand in hand, even kissing. David was a co-worker of hers. They'd been having an affair for months. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and sadness. Our entire life together had been a lie. I didn't confront her immediately. I wanted her to feel the weight of her actions. I started by withdrawing half of our savings and placing it in a separate account. I consulted a lawyer and began divorce proceedings. I changed the locks on the house and left her belongings packed in boxes on the porch. I sent her a message. There won't be at my place either, she called, crying, begging for forgiveness. I didn't respond. I filed for full custody of our children, citing her infidelity and deception. I informed her employer about the affair, which violated company policy. Both she and David were terminated. I sold our house and moved to a new city with the kids, starting fresh. It's been a year since everything unfolded. The kids are adjusting well, and I've found peace in our new life. Sarah tried to reach out, but I blocked her. I couldn't let her back in. I've learned that sometimes, the people we trust the most can betray us in unimaginable ways. But I've also learned that I'm stronger than I ever knew. This is my story. A tale of betrayal, discovery, and ultimately revenge. A few weeks after I moved out with the kids, I thought the worst was over. I figured Sarah would disappear from our lives quietly after everything blew up. But that wasn't what happened. One Monday morning, I was pulling into the parking lot at my new job, same kind of work, different garage, when my phone buzzed. It was a number I didn't know, from Columbus. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, it buzzed again. Same number. This time I answered. Mike? It was her voice. How did you get this number? I need to talk to you, she said. It's important. There's nothing left to talk about. Please, she said, her voice cracking. It's not about us. That line caught me off guard. She said she was pregnant. I didn't believe her at first. I asked her if it was David's. She didn't answer, just started crying harder. She said she wasn't sure. I told her I'd call her back, then hung up. I sat there in my truck, hands gripping the steering wheel, eyes locked on the dash like it was going to tell me what the hell to do. She had cheated. Lied. Tore our lives apart. And now she's calling me with this? The next day, I got served court papers. Sarah was filing for joint custody. It didn't make sense. She'd barely contacted the kids since the divorce started. And now she wanted them part-time? I was still staying in a rental while trying to get something more permanent, and she was suddenly trying to play Mom of the Year. I called my lawyer. He said it was likely a tactic. Something her lawyer probably advised her to do to soften the image in court. He also said if she was pregnant, and it wasn't mine, things could get messy, especially if she tried using it to confuse the situation or manipulate a paternity narrative. I needed more info, and I needed it fast. I called the private investigator again. I told him to dig into her recent moves, doctor visits, who she's been with, anything. 3 days later, he sent me a file. She hadn't just been with David. She'd been with 2 other men in the last 6 months. One of them was her yoga instructor from the gym. The other was a guy from her book club. Both had spent nights at our house when I was on work trips. One of them was likely the father. I didn't know whether to feel sick, furious, or just numb. I printed everything and handed it to my lawyer. In the middle of all this, my son, he's 14, comes to me and says Sarah showed up at his school. Not during pickup time, just showed up in the middle of the day with cookies, trying to talk to him during lunch. The school didn't even call me right away. They just let her in. I lost it. Called the school, the principal, the district office. I demanded they keep her away unless I was notified. She wasn't on the emergency contact list anymore. There was no excuse. It wasn't just about her seeing the kids. It was how she was doing it, sneaky, dramatic, trying to look like the victim to anyone who'd watch. Even the kids didn't know what to make of it. My daughter, who's 11, started asking questions. She said her mom kept texting her, sending pictures of baby clothes and ultrasound appointments. I didn't know what to say. I told her gently that her mom was dealing with some issues and that we'd figure it out together. But deep down, I was boiling. One evening, I got an anonymous email. No subject line. Just a photo attached. It was Sarah, standing outside a restaurant in Chicago again. Not with David. With some new guy. Same hotel she stayed at before. Attached was a receipt, timestamped the night before. She wasn't even pregnant. I sent the email to my PI. Within 24 hours, he confirmed it. No doctor appointments. No OB visits. No medical records that even hinted at a pregnancy. She made it up. She was trying to get sympathy, trying to make me look like the bad guy. Maybe even thinking I'd take her back or give her more money in the divorce. I was done playing nice. But the craziest part? That wasn't even the end of it. There was something in the investigator's final report I didn't expect. Something about David. Turns out, David wasn't just some guy from her job. He was married, with 2 kids. His wife had found out about Sarah and filed for divorce right after I did. And get this, Sarah had been helping David hide assets from his wife. Money transfers, shared accounts, even fake invoices. There was a whole web of crap going on behind the scenes. My lawyer called it civil conspiracy. Said if I wanted, we could bring charges. Said it would open up a whole new legal mess, but it was possible. That's when I realized I wasn't even the target. I was just one piece of her game. But she messed up. Because now I knew everything. And I wasn't letting this go. 2 days after finding out she faked the pregnancy, I got another call from an unknown number. I almost didn't pick up, but something in my gut told me to answer. Mike? The voice was shaky. A woman's voice, but not Sarah's. This is Laura. I'm David's wife. Or soon-to-be ex, I guess. I sat down. She said she got my number from one of the documents her lawyer found. Apparently Sarah had sent David an email with my name and number when they were planning some joint custody workaround together. Laura said it looked like Sarah and David were trying to push their divorces through around the same time, and there were talks of relocating together, with kids involved. Which was funny, because neither of them had legal rights to each other's kids. Then she dropped something I didn't see coming. Sarah had tried to open a credit card in my name. Apparently, she and David had plans to start some kind of wellness business. Something about retreats, holistic coaching, maybe a brick-and-mortar studio. Laura said she only found out because her bank flagged a weird transaction that led her to a bunch of shared Google Drive files between David and Sarah, business proposals, budget plans, investor emails. My name was in them. Not as a partner. As a silent funder. That's when it clicked. Sarah didn't want the kids because she missed them. She wanted them because it would make her look stable. Make her look responsible. And with that, she'd look trustworthy to investors. I was being used again. Not just for sympathy, but for legitimacy. I thanked Laura and asked if she'd be willing to share any of the files. She said yes. Said she was sick of the lies and wanted to burn it all down, too. She sent me everything. Files, screenshots, emails. One folder in particular made my stomach drop. It had copies of my driver's license, our old tax returns, and a document that looked like a loan agreement, with my forged signature at the bottom. I called my lawyer. We now had grounds for fraud and identity theft. But we'd have to tread carefully. The next twist came from my daughter. She came home one day and said, "Mom has a new place. She said we could come visit, but only if we don't tell you." I asked her if she knew where it was. She said it's somewhere by the lake. She said it's quiet and private and really nice. Private. Quiet. By a lake. I called the PI again. Told him to find every rental Sarah had applied for in the past month. Took him one day. She had rented a lake house in Huron, Ohio. About 2 hours from me. We drove there the next weekend, me and the PI. From the road, it looked normal. Quiet. Cute even. But through binoculars, we could see everything. Sarah was there. So was David. And their wellness business looked like it was already operating out of the house. People came and went. Women in yoga pants, men carrying duffel bags, random cars parked for hours. But what really got me were the signs posted around the edge of the property. Zen rebirth retreats. Healing for the mind, body, and spirit. Private sessions available. Walk-ins welcome. I took photos, videos, sent everything to my lawyer and the investigator. They began documenting every visit, every car, even pulled public records. Turns out, the retreat wasn't even licensed. No permits, no business license, no insurance. Just a name, a website, and a social media page full of stolen stock images and fake reviews. The cherry on top? One of the yoga instructors listed on the site, Sophie Delgado, was a real person. And she'd already filed a lawsuit against Sarah and David for using her name and credentials without permission. I contacted Sophie's lawyer. Gave them my information, the photos, everything. By now, Sarah was spinning plates in a hurricane. She was faking a wellness business, lying in family court, manipulating her own kids, faking pregnancies, forging signatures, and committing identity theft. She wasn't just cheating anymore. She was actively conning people. But she didn't know I knew. And that gave me time. Then came the court date. We walked in, Sarah looking like she was auditioning for Devoted Earth Mom. Long cardigan, no makeup, holding a notebook and a mug that said gratitude first. She smiled at me like we were old friends. That smile faded fast when my lawyer slid the investigator's packet across the table. Then we dropped the second bombshell. Laura, David's wife, was willing to testify. So was Sophie Delgado. Sarah's lawyer looked like he aged 5 years in 2 minutes. But even that wasn't the worst of it. Because a week later, my bank called me. A wire transfer of $40,000 had been attempted from one of our old joint accounts, an account I had closed 3 months ago. Except it was reopened. By someone with my old driver's license and a utility bill under my name from a Sedona yoga resort. Yeah. She kept the lie going. She had forged a new version of our life to keep the scam alive. Only this time, she wasn't scamming me. She was trying to scam a bank. And I had everything I needed to bury her. The moment the bank told me about that $40,000 transfer attempt, everything inside me just shut off. No more shock, no more confusion, just cold, clear purpose. I called my lawyer. He said this was federal now. Wire fraud, identity theft, false documents across state lines. He contacted law enforcement and forwarded everything we had. The investigator backed it all with a full report, and Laura, David's wife, handed over screenshots from Sarah's emails that showed she and David had been planning it for weeks. Down to using a fake P.O. box in Sedona for mail forwarding. I was being erased from my own life like I was some extra in their little startup fantasy. They didn't just lie. They tried to use me as the financial foundation for a scam. And now they were tangled in it so deep there wasn't any clean way out. But even with the law getting involved, it wasn't enough. I needed them to feel it. I took everything, every file, every photo, every court doc, and sent it all to Sarah's yoga community. The ones she used to film videos with, the ones who posted quotes about honesty and healing, while she was stealing from her own kids' futures. I sent the same files to her retreat's social media followers. To the people who had signed up for her fake classes. To every investor they had cold pitched online, including some poor woman from Illinois who had already paid a $3,000 deposit. Then I went to the IRS. She hadn't reported a single dollar of income from the retreat. She thought she was smart. Thought hiding it in cash, or through David's wife's name, would keep it off the books. But now she was in the system. And the IRS doesn't play games. Meanwhile, David? He lost everything. His wife, his job, his kids. His license was flagged when Sarah's business fraud tied back to his name. Even better, his own parents reached out to me, apologizing. Told me they never knew what their son had been doing, and that they were ashamed. The trial didn't even make it that far. When Sarah was arrested at the lake house, while giving a private chakra alignment session, she lost it. Tried to talk her way out of it while wearing that same gratitude first mug on a necklace. They found 5 fake IDs in her drawer. One with my last name. One with David's. She pled guilty. So did David. 2 counts of fraud, 1 of identity theft, and several civil suits from victims of the fake retreat. She got 2 years in prison, 5 years probation. David got a lighter sentence but still lost custody of his kids and will probably never work again in anything financial. The house was seized. The website pulled down. All their little dreams of a healing empire? Gone. Crushed. Humiliated. But I didn't walk away clean either. After everything, after the rage and the revenge, I sat alone in my new place with my kids asleep down the hall and realized I missed the signs. I let things go quiet between us. I let work and routine dull everything out. I thought loyalty was enough to hold a marriage together. It wasn't. And I paid for it by ignoring the cracks until she tore the whole thing down. I forgave myself eventually. Not quickly. Not completely. But enough to move forward. My kids still ask about her sometimes. I never lie, but I don't fill in all the blanks either. That's her job to explain, someday. Maybe when she gets out and faces who she really is. But until then? She said she was going on a yoga retreat. I sent her a care package. And when the resort told me, "There's no one here under that name," I gave them the only answer I had left. There won't be at my place either. And now, there never will be again.